If you attended Rotary a couple of weeks ago, you heard my Rotary Minute. What I wanted Rotarians to take away from my minute was make Rotary meaningful. Today I want to talk about something that is, without a doubt, meaningful to all of us as Rotarians, and that is Rotarians and Rotary's money. I suspect that you all know about the 5 avenues of service that all Rotary clubs follow. The 5 avenues of service are the philosophical and practical framework for the work of all Rotary clubs. This makes the 5 avenues of service very meaningful to Rotarians. But I wonder if you are also aware of the 7 areas of focus for Rotary's grants. These are recommendations that help us stay on target for the greatest humanitarian needs in our communities and around our world today. The trustees of the Rotary Foundation have identified these areas because of the enormous human needs that we see in these 7 areas of focus. And here they are. I'll begin with the first of the 7, peace and conflict prevention and resolution. Today, 42 million people are displaced by armed conflict or persecution. Through Rotary's partnership with leading universities, Rotary Peace Scholars develop the skills to strengthen peace efforts. They train local leaders to prevent and mediate conflict, and they support long-term peace building in areas affected by conflict. Some of you may remember Eva Glagileri. She was a Rotary Peace Scholar from Turkey, studying at the University of North Texas. She spoke to our club about 6 years ago, and she was brilliant. The Rotary Peace Scholarship fully funds scholarships for up to 130 international students every year. They study a full-time master's degree program at one of the world's leading universities. This is a competitive scholarship based on personal, academic, and professional achievements. And Rotarians are encouraged to find qualified students and to help them through the application process. I also mentioned that next week's speaker at Rotary will be David Busher, and he will speak on conflict resolution. The second is disease prevention and treatment. And just a reminder that these areas of focus apply to both community district grants and international global grants. More than 100 million people are pushed into poverty each year because of medical cost. Rotary aims to improve and expand access to low-cost and free health care in underdeveloped areas. Rotarians educate and mobilize communities to help prevent the spread of major diseases such as HIV/AIDS and malaria. Many of the projects ensure that medical training facilities are located in an area where the workforce lives. And this area of focus covers our most recent grant provision to Solutions of North Texas, a nationally accredited drug and alcohol addiction treatment center. They provide master-level therapists in medically supported inpatient 30 to 90-day programs. We provided $1,500 for furniture for their office areas. And we're very happy to join hands with Solutions of North Texas, and Rotarians Mark Burrows and Ryan Mitchell are our connections there. We know all too well the issues of number 3, water and sanitation. More than 2.5 billion people do not have access to safe water. 3,000 children die each day from diarrheal diseases caused by unsafe water. Today's projects give communities the ability to develop and maintain sustainable water and sanitation systems and support studies related to water and sanitation. Our grant to Shiloh Gardens for $3,000 for a sprinkler system fits into this category, and let me explain how. Shiloh Gardens is the largest community garden in the United States. It produces 60,000 to 80,000 pounds of food each year that is distributed free of charge all over North Texas. But our grant to Shiloh was not for the provision of food. Rotary grants must go toward projects that are sustainable. We provided for the installation of a sprinkler system that will sustain the production of food for years to come. Sustainability is an important ingredient in all Rotary grants. Rotarian Pat Smith from the Morning Club is our connection with Shiloh Gardens, and Ryan Mitchell chaired that project for us. And the fourth, saving mothers and children. 7 million children under the age of 5 die each year due to malnutrition, poor health care, and inadequate sanitation. To help reduce this number, Rotary provides immunizations and antibiotics to babies. It improves access to essential medical services, and it supports trained healthcare providers for mothers and their children. Rotary ensures sustainability by empowering the local community to take ownership of healthcare training programs. And this is a category under which our Cumberland Presbyterian Children's Home grant of $6,000 is covered. We are happy that we can be active and connected to the children's home. And our connection there is Rotarian Courtney Benetoski, and our grant project was chaired by Rotarian Rebecca Jackson. And in addition, some of you may have heard my story about Mike and Doris Fortson in Tanzania. We were colleagues and friends at Stephen F. Austin State University before they made the move to Tanzania. Nema Village is a rescue center for abandoned, orphaned, and at-risk babies in Arusha, Tanzania, in East Africa. They need $75,000 to build an education facility for mothers. I would like to submit a global grant for that project next year. And with the help of several Rotary clubs in our district, we can raise our share of this money. Global grants are considerably more complex than district grants, but the need at Nema Village is great. So I hope that you will share my enthusiasm about this venture. And then the fifth area of focus, basic education and literacy. 67 million children worldwide have no access to education, and more than 775 million people over the age of 15 are illiterate. Rotary's goal is to strengthen the capacity of communities to support basic education and literacy, reduce gender disparity in education, and increase adult literacy. In 2007-2008, the Denton Rotary Club partnered with the Flower Mound Rotary Club to build a school in Chinandega, Nicaragua. The two clubs provided a $12,000 Rotary grant, and 16 Rotarians made the trip to Nicaragua and provided labor and knowledge. Two Nicaraguan Rotary clubs raised $15,000, and together all these Rotarians built a new school for 43 children. And even more amazing, they built the school in 6 days. Our share of the project was chaired by Rotarians Sonia Rogers and Herman Ostrovik. A couple of weeks ago, Sonia brought her Rotary Minute to the club, and she recounted this life-changing experience in Nicaragua by reading the Denton Record Chronicle's very fine article about the project. In that article, Rotarian Charles Correll was quoted as saying, "Unless and until you have experienced the real need in these deprived parts of the world, you can never really understand need. Contact with the children in these areas forces you to realize that they have potential. If they only had an opportunity. Once you've been in these areas and you're then faced with the question, how can I not do something to help?" Well, this was a benchmark project for the Denton Rotary Club, and thanks to Rotarian Sonia Rogers for bringing the project back to our attention. And the sixth Economic and community development. Nearly 1.4 billion employed people in the world today live on less than $1.25 per day. Rotary provides service projects that enhance economic and community development. They improve opportunities for decent and productive work for young and old. We also help strengthen local entrepreneurs and community leaders, particularly women in impoverished communities. And in 2018-2019, Rotarian Karen McDaniels learned about some very entrepreneurial women in Costa Rica who wanted to build a project and show the Costa Rican cloud forest. They wanted to develop sustainable tourism. Their challenge was how to develop and the business side, including marketing, pricing, and financial management. With a $30,000 Rotary Global Grant, 4 Rotary clubs in the Denton area pitched in to help implement this project in Costa Rica. It was hugely successful, and a very fine article was published in our International Rotary magazine, and congratulations to Rotarian Karen McDaniels and Denton Rotarians. And the 7th, protecting the environment. Supporting the environment has just this past year become a Rotary 7th area of focus. Rotary International past president Ian Risley is the chair of the Environmental Issues Task Force, and this area of focus will be put into practice this coming year. Okay, I think you can see why Rotary trustees have chosen these categories for grants. And here's how clubs in our local communities and clubs all over the world use the 6 areas of focus this past year. And I'll first talk about the global grants. Okay. Basic education and literacy. There were 184 global grants in basic education and literacy this last year. $10.9 million from the Rotary Foundation. Community economic development, 264 global grants were awarded. Disease prevention and treatment, 1,020 global grants were awarded, $35.6 million from the Rotary Foundation. Maternal and child health, 129 global grants were given. Peace building and conflict resolution, 128 global grants, $10.5 million. Water, sanitation, and hygiene, 341 global grants, $18.7 million were garnered. Where does this money come from? It comes from you and me and 1.4 million other Rotarians from all over the world. This is money that you and I pay dues for, and then it comes back to us when we apply for and are awarded grants. Very important. Your dues do all this good in the world. Those numbers add up to 2,066 global grants and a total expenditure of $130 million. That's an average of more than $62,000 per grant, with $30,000 being the smallest one. You can see the $75,000 that I will seek next year for the name of village is certainly doable. And this is how the money that you put into Rotary comes back to clubs. 467 district grants for a total of $31.1 million. 2,066 global grants for a total of $130 million. $7.5 million went to Rotary scholarships. and there was emergency money for COVID-19 in the total of $20 million. All that this last year. This is information that tells me why I believe that Rotary is very meaningful. And it is why Denton deserves to have 135 Rotarians in this club. I hope you agree with me. And now let's have some discussion.